Good morning, class. My name is Andrew, and for my final speech, I am going to be talking about Cinco de Mayo. So there's a big misconception between Mexican Independence Day and Cinco de Mayo, where Mexican Independence Day is celebrated on September 16th of every year, and Cinco de Mayo is celebrated obviously on the 5th of May, which comes from the Battle of Puebla back in 1862. So in my speech, I am going to be talking about the background about Cinco de Mayo, and then I'm going to talk about some of the traditions, food, and dancing that goes on around North America. So background of Cinco de Mayo started back in 1861 when President Benito Juarez was elected president after former president had to resign due to large debt payments after decades of financial strife with European countries. Britain, France, and Spain soon invaded Veracruz, Mexico, demanding repayments. However, Britain and Spain negotiated with Mexico, and they left Veracruz, leaving Napoleon III and his French naval side to control Veracruz, Mexico. And Napoleon III at the time thought it would be a great idea to make a big territory out of Mexico at the time. So he sent 5,000 men into Veracruz and pushed out Benito Juarez's government, leading to May the 5th in Puebla, Mexico, where 7,000 of Napoleon's men faced off against a largely outnumbered 2,000 of General Zaragoza's men. 2 days after the battle, Napoleon's side lost over 6,000 men, whereas Zaragoza's side only lost 100. Even though this wasn't a large strategic victory, this battle symbolizes the Mexican resistance, and soon France felt a lot of pressure from the United States, and with the loss of this battle, they left Mexico alone. So next, I'm going to dive into some of the traditions celebrated during Cinco de Mayo. So I'm going to start off with a quote from Joe Baca, a U.S. representative and member of the Democratic Party. He states, "Cinco de Mayo has come to represent a celebration of the contributions that Mexican Americans and all Hispanics have made to America." And this is important because he explains how the United States celebrates Cinco de Mayo for more commemorating the heritage as well as the culture that we get from our neighbors down south. And in Puebla, Mexico, they mainly celebrate dressing up as soldiers as well as reenacting the Battle of Puebla. This shows how important it is to show how the brave men of Mexico fought for that day for freedom. And here's a unique one from Canada. A lot of Mexican Canadians jump out of planes because they believe that it symbolizes that against all odds, if they survive, it was meant to be. So here's a quote from Marcos de los Reyes, a member and president of Mexican Canadian Society. He states that, "For me, jumping out of a plane on a day like this is similar to how the infantry during the Battle of Puebla survived against all odds. So I know that if I survive them too, I will understand the true meaning of beating the odds." Even though this isn't a normal Mexican-American celebration of Cinco de Mayo, it's unique to see how Cinco de Mayo is celebrated throughout North America. Secondly, I'm going to dive into some of the foods that are celebrated during Cinco de Mayo. First, a quote from California Avocado Commission 2012. They state that Americans across the country consume over 81 million avocados during Cinco de Mayo. That's huge because the largest day that avocados are consumed is during the Super Bowl. And another classic food that is celebrated is mole de poblano, which is mainly celebrated in the city of Puebla, which mole is grounded up ingredients that is sort of like a sauce, and it comes in many colors and consistencies. And it says that mole de poblano was created back in the early 17th century in Santa Ana, Revenant. And the last food is chiles en nogada, which is a chile picadillo stuffed pepper that has sour cream and other ingredients on it, and it symbolizes the colors of the Mexican flag, which are white, green, and red, and that symbolizes the flag standing in the city of Puebla after the battle. And lastly, I'm going to talk about music and dance. And a quote from Nikia Opene from the Cinco de Mayo in Color and Culture and Dance. She states that Mexico has many traditional dances, mostly folk dances, which center around topics of historical and cultural significance, such as religion and courting rituals. This is important because she explains how the beauty in Cinco de Mayo is how a lot of people come together in many different ways to celebrate it, which includes dancing and as well as the music. And three dances that are also celebrated during Cinco de Mayo are the jarabe tapiado, the zapiteado, and the trijano. And these dances all date back to early 16th century Spanish and indigenous influences. So lastly, in conclusion, Cinco de Mayo is a day in which we celebrate a lot of Mexican heritage as well as a lot of influences that we have gotten throughout the years. This day has given the United States an excuse to get drunk, as well as, most importantly, has allowed us Mexican Americans, as well as the people of Puebla, to recognize the brave men that sacrificed their lives against all odds back in 1862. Thank you.